So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, CRM plus WhatsApp, the proven formula for 2x revenue growth. I am Chanika Dhera. So I'll be your moderator for today. So before I introduce you to our screen panel, I would like to request all our audience members to mute themselves again. And whatever questions you have throughout the webinar, please drop all those questions in the chat box itself. We will address them one by one during the webinar. We also have Siddharth and Akshay with us. If there are some questions that they can answer on the chat box, they will be answering those on the chat box. I would humbly request for all of you to mute your microphones, hide your cameras. So let's make this session interactive. And we also have an amazing offer towards the end of the webinar. So please stick around with us towards the very end. Having said that, let me quickly introduce you to our esteemed panel. We have with us Mr. Asad Khatau, Head of Sales Interact. Hi, Asad.
Hi, Chenika. Pleasure to be on this webinar. Really excited.
Us too. So Asad has over a decade of diversified experience from key account management to business development. Asad has excelled in growth stage startups, especially within the F&B, hyperlocal delivery and hospitality sectors. He is known for his proactive approach and commitment. Asad is not just a business expert, but also a fitness enthusiast and obviously an advocate of societal contributions. So Asad, it's a pleasure having you here.
Same here, Chenika.
Like we said, we have another esteemed panelist with us. We have Ms. Sonam Biswal, Chief Revenue Officer, Kylas. Sonam is a revenue-oriented professional with over 15 years of experience across brand management, consulting, sales, and innovation. Currently, as a Chief Revenue Officer at a tech startup, a key focus is on establishing Kylas as the go-to sales CRM for growing businesses across India. She is known for her people skills, sense of humor, and ability to get work done. Welcome so much, Sonam. I'm glad to have you here. So before we move to anything else, WhatsApp has been one of the most liked channels, one of the most loved channels by growing businesses and enterprises alike. So as a marketer, the first question that comes to me is that we as marketers, we are fighting for rising cost, for rising ad costs. So do you think that there is any unique advantage to WhatsApp that it has over other channels? Asad, would you like to pick that up?
Sure, Chenika. Thank you for asking that. So, before even we deep dive into it from a marketing perspective, right? Let's look at the popularity of WhatsApp, right? WhatsApp as a channel obviously is immensely popular. Initially, we used it for, staying connected with our friends and family, right? Communicating regularly with them. And now we've seen, a rise in terms of how businesses are also leveraging WhatsApp, right? From a messaging perspective, right? An average user on WhatsApp, right, typically opens his WhatsApp 25 to 30 times, right? While this may be an understatement, but this is what stats say, right? In India, the average usage of WhatsApp per month per user is around 21.4 hours. So each user is consuming WhatsApp for around 21.4 hours in India. This is much, much higher compared to the global average of 19.4 hours. Right. And this is a recent kind of survey that I read. And, it's a no brainer that, a lot of folks are opening their WhatsApp so regularly and spending time. Right. The total user base on WhatsApp is around 2 billion globally and 450 million. That's almost 25% of the active WhatsApp users are in India. So by default, by de facto, right, WhatsApp is, India is the largest market for WhatsApp, right? And that is why, very, very clearly, right, WhatsApp commands some of the highest open rates, right? It is upwards of 95%, even reaching 98%. It is commanding one of the highest response rates, right, which is 45% and above. Right now, what does this translate into? Right, open rates, response rates actually translate into higher conversions, faster conversions. Right, vis-a-vis what? Vis-a-vis other channels like SMS and email. Right, so we've seen and we've obviously stats say that anywhere between 2x to 5x higher conversions are possible on WhatsApp vis-a-vis the other traditional channels like SMS and email. Not only that, right, it's a marketer's paradise because we've seen anywhere between 10 to 50% reduction in CAC, which is the customer acquisition cost, right, on WhatsApp, right? And this is possible due to the various features that WhatsApp offers on the WhatsApp Business API app, right, or the API that is which is possible, right? And hence all of this also translates into higher lifetime value, right, which is again, music to the eyes, music to the ears of marketeers and businesses alike. Now, you spoke about rising ad cost, right? Now, once we've set the context on WhatsApp, rising ad cost is something that we are all jostling with, right? In fact, we are already stepping into the festive season. Today is actually Onam. I wish everyone a very happy Onam to all the audiences, right? And tomorrow is Raksha Bandhan, right? And then we step right into September, which is basically one of the very heavy months in terms of festivities. And don't even ask me about October and November when we move to Diwali, right? So it's a no-brainer that the number of platforms that we are using is only limited, right? Insta, Facebook, Google, sometimes Amazon, right? And everyone is jostling for the same space, for the same keywords, bidding on the same set of customers, right? So it's a no-brainer that the ad cost will rise up. But as we know, an early bird catches a worm, right? So people who've started early and also started kind of acquiring new customers, generating more leads, will now have a sufficient lead base, right, to actually tap into from a festival perspective, right? Which also brings me to a point where Meta has taken cognizance of this matter, right? Where due to the rising ad cost, and what they've done is very recently they have launched, something known as click to WhatsApp ads, right? And which I will obviously talk about in detail in the forthcoming session, right? But click to WhatsApp ads is something which has shown immense potential, right? In the Indian markets, people have also started acknowledging it. And like I said, I'll share the stats later. But yeah, from a marketer's perspective, this is what definitely, is a win-win situation for anyone to be on WhatsApp.
Thank you for those insights, Asad. So, Sonam, you've been the marketing head for Kylas and Sell.do. I would like to know, see, we do all these campaigns on email and SMS, but, we get a generic, open rate maybe to up to a 50%. But we've seen that WhatsApp maintains a staggering 98% open rate. So how do you see this factor into a brand's digital marketing strategy, or maybe their outreach strategy?
Okay, I think it's an understatement to say that it's been a game changer when it comes to staying connected with your customer base using WhatsApp. Like Asad mentioned, right, it has been a very gradual yet at the same time startling transition from staying connected with your family to staying connected with brands or products that you or services that you appreciate or you basically invest in, right? So I think. With respect to Kylas and Sell.do, of course, I'll go into some of the examples later on when I explain use cases. But overall, if you look at the gamut of things that are happening with WhatsApp, right, and how brand or marketers are using it as a channel, I think one of the primary sources has been to use it as a transactional or informational kind of a medium. So for instance, let's say Make My Trip sends you all of these updates in terms of your trip. So what exactly it's your invoice or your flight ticket or your PNR number or a reminder in terms of you doing a web check-in. So those are your informational transactional kind of information that comes through from, let's say, a Make My Trip. You also have the promotional messages that are happening. So a lot of offers from brands that you purchase from frequently. It could be, let's say, Myntra on end of reason sale. Or the other use case that we have seen is a lot of reminders for subscription renewals or stuff that you purchase very frequently. It could be once a week, could be once a month, it could be medication, it could be grocery items, and you get reminders on those. So I think in terms of use cases, there has been lots of use cases that marketers have explored. They have seen very high open rates, like Asad also mentioned, very high response rates also. It has kind of helped reduce the sales cycle. It has helped increase the lead flow. It has helped create brand recall. But while I talk about all of these use cases, one caveat that I would like to mention is what marketers sometimes tend to overdo is what they've done with SMS and email as communication channels, where you have mindlessly sent across promotional offers or mindlessly sent across information that the client or the lead is not interested in, right? And then what happens is WhatsApp also will start becoming another channel, which maybe does not have that kind of importance that it should. So for instance, if I give you my own example, I have the archive folder in which I have at least 20 to 25 brand promotional offers just sitting there. Some brand. But if it were very relevant to me and it came to me on time, then of course, I would really appreciate it. And that's where I think WhatsApp really hits the sweet spot. And we need to be careful around those.
That's a very fair point, Sonam. Even I have a lot of those WhatsApp messages which never get opened, those promotional messages. But yes, it's from a brand that I, want to hear from.
It's relevant, right?
Yes,
it's relevant.
yes.
If it's relevant to you, you're open.
100%. So, Asad, earlier you were talking about, the CTWA ads. So ideally, let's just talk about them. Not all growing businesses know what it is about, and they've not leveraged it for their business growth. But recently, I've read some stats, and it shows that lead generation is 30% less costly with CTWA ads. So what are the key factors that enables these set of ads to drive lead generation more efficiently? And how can growing businesses best leverage it for maximum cost saving?
Absolutely, Janika. So, first I'll just set the context in terms of giving a people understanding in terms of what click to WhatsApp ads are and how are they different compared to the traditional ads that you run, right? So when it comes to a traditional ad format, you typically show an ad on a platform or a surface like Instagram and Facebook, right? And then you redirect the customer to the website. Now we all know that the internet in a country like India is not the best, at least in tier 2, tier 3 cities, right? And then that is the first level of drop that you see in terms of people moving from having a look at your ad to kind of reaching your landing page, right? Apart from that, the most traditional method most people have is having web forms, right? Or lead forms that they set up on the website. That is the second level of drop, right? People have reached your website, but they're kind of navigating across different pages. They may or may not kind of have the lead form that you fill. And there you go, right? You've spent a few marketing dollars, right, to let's say show your ad to around 1 lakh impressions. And I can vouch, right, and even stats say that a fraction of these people or the impressions, right, actually turn up to becoming your or filling up your lead form, right? So what Meta did was Meta identified that this was a gap, right? And to give more bang for a buck, right, more ROI to people who are running ads, they came up with this ad format known as click to WhatsApp ads. Now it is self-explanatory, right? Again, you're running an ad. This time, instead of kind of landing a customer onto your website, right, you have a very clean CTA button which is saying click to WhatsApp, right? Once you try and click on click to WhatsApp, there is something known as icebreakers that Meta allows us to set up, or we call it conversation starters, right? You can kind of configure up to 5 questions that the user might have after looking at your ad. Let's say you are kind of showing an ad of shoes, right? And the customer wants to ask what is the price, right? Or how do I order? Or how do I kind of place an order, right? And these are the frequently asked questions. How do I return? How do I exchange, right? Depending on the conversation starter, right? We here at Interakt, what we've done is we've been able to set custom auto replies, right? Which is nothing but simple questions to these replies, right? And there you go. The conversation starts. The user has been transported into the WhatsApp ecosystem, right? And then you have this engagement of back and forth, either through an agent or through a set of automations that we have set up on Interakt, which we can discuss, right? But net, what you've done is you have acquired a customer, right, which is the first party data and which is your right, right? Unlike in the case where you're tracking through pixels or you're tracking through lead forms, right? And there is a lot of leakage which happens, right? So first and foremost, click to WhatsApp ads gives you access to first party data, right? As soon as the lead enters into WhatsApp in an Interakt kind of WhatsApp business API CRM, the contact is automatically saved, right? Second thing is, since you are already running ad on a platform or a service, on a Meta platform or a service like Insta and Facebook, right? You don't have to pay anything for a conversation charge. Now, just for everyone who's new to this, Meta has monetized WhatsApp Business API as a service, right? And what they have done is, they ask the user that there is a nominal charge for initiating a transaction, or rather initiating a conversation, right? Similarly, if a user is incoming or the business is sending an outgoing message, there is a small kind of cost which is associated with it. In this case, you don't have to pay any cost. you have a 72-hour free window, which is a 3-day free window, where you can keep communicating with the customer, answering all his queries, either through an agent or through automations, right? And closing him for a successful sale, right? So that's the second heads up. Third thing is what we have developed in conjunction with Meta, right? We further fortified this product of click to WhatsApp ads, and we have set up something known as workflows. So you were talking about lead management, right? Lead generation, lead qualification, right? Everyone wants to know, right? So we can set up basic questions or workflows that we call at Interakt, where you ask a question and you have 3 buttons that can be, used to kind of give you the answer. For example, which city are you in? What is your demography, right? What is the budget of the platform or the service you're looking at, right? How soon do you want to buy the platform, and so on and so forth, right? Depending on the band qualification, as we call it, which is budget, authority, need, timeline, you qualify the lead and give it to the right salesperson internally, right? And that's as easy as you get. Now, last but not the least, we've gone ahead, we've pioneered this with Meta. We've gone ahead when we've set up an entire ad analytics dashboard, right? Everybody wants to know, मेरी lead का क्या हुआ, right? So we've set up an end-to-end customer journey or a funnel, right? Where you can basically create or configure milestones inside our ad analytics dashboard, right? So for example, let's say, how many users move from, an inquiry stage to for example, a proposal stage, right? Or from a proposal stage to a negotiation stage, right? And all of this can be done via APIs. I'm not deep diving into that too much, but you can set up these milestones, and finally, what are the conversions looking like, right? From the prospects that you generated from click to WhatsApp ads. The entire funnel, the entire user journey can be configured on a platform like Interakt via a ads analytic dashboard, right? And that's the beauty of it, right? So that you get an end-to-end view of each customer. Not only that, we have actually tagged users which are coming via CTWA, right? Which is an auto tagging. So, hey, Chenika came in from this particular campaign, right? And from this particular campaign, these are the set of customers who moved to this level and finally converted to a paying customer. So you can actually figure out what is the ROAS or the return on ad spends via the click to WhatsApp ads and using the tagging and the automation feature at Interakt, right? Let me tell you, again, Interakt is at the forefront when it comes to running click to WhatsApp ads, right? In the few months that Meta has popularized this ad format, more than 50% of our pulsing base, and by the way, we are more than 10,000 customers right now, right? Have experienced click to WhatsApp ads in some shape and form, right? And people have found significant results. We've even published 2 case studies with Meta very recently. And I would like to call out the couple of case studies. It's there on the internet. It's there on our website to go and see for yourself. These are small businesses. One business is BWT Experiences. What they essentially do is they have curated travels, curated classes for yoga, for fitness, right? Culinary experts or culinary experiences that you set up. Right. And they came to us and they said, hey, you know what, we are kind of struggling with our ad conversion. We are seeing good number of leads which are coming, right? But we are struggling with the ad conversions, right? And then what we told them is, why don't you use click to WhatsApp ads, right? And what they saw was phenomenal. They saw an 84% higher conversion of leads, right? And they even saw a 20% overall conversion via prospects that are coming in via click to WhatsApp ads, right? So this is one case study very close to my heart. Right. The other is on Hair Originals. To all the ladies out there, it's a hair extension platform, right? And we work closely with them. They're also, featured on Shark Tank, right? And they wanted to kind of generate more leads for obviously getting hair extensions and trials, right? And what we did was as soon as the customer came to WhatsApp, we just told them, hey, you know what, just set up simple buttons and auto replies to get a one-on-one consultation call with your hair expert, right? Because this is obviously a slightly higher order value, customer, and hence you would typically need a one-on-one consultation with the hair expert, right? And there also, we saw very, very good results. We saw a 52% reduction in the lead cost and a 66% increase in the conversions via click to WhatsApp ads, right? So my only recommendation is don't go by my word. Have a look at these case studies. Have a look at our platform, right? The way it is operating, how we've set it up, right? And you can for yourself decide whether you want to run ads this festive season via click to WhatsApp ads and experience the entire thing yourself itself.
that was quite detailed. Like I heard about those case studies. I think I saw it on your website, and the numbers that you discussed like are just amazing for the CTWA ads. So, which also reminds me, like WhatsApp, you can use it not only for your marketing purposes, like you said, the end-to-end journey, right? So, customer experience is at the core of it. So, which also brings me to my next question, Asad, and this is for you, since you spoke so much about, end-to-end customer journey on WhatsApp. So, 70% of businesses across the industry reported unimproved customer engagement after implementing automations and workflow. So, what do you think that growing businesses should know to actually implement this?
Got it. So, Chenika, I'll tell you, right? Automation is of different shapes and form, right? For SMBs and especially for the category that people are over here, right? I think the kind of automations that we have set up on our platform, or for that matter, any other WhatsApp business API platform, is critical, right? Like I said, today customers are very, very jittery, right? Including you and me as end customers, right? We want instantaneous responses. We are sitting in a digitally connected world. We want responses in a matter of minutes, right? And hours, not forget about days, right? Again, I was just going through a few stats. I was reading through a few articles, and I saw that 70% of the customers today actually expect businesses to respond within a few minutes, right? Or instantaneous responses, right? And I saw that 9 out of 10 customers are very highly likely to churn if you don't give them a satisfactory response within a certain turnaround time, right? And the worst part is, rubbing your salt on the wounds, is almost 50% of these customers will go to your competitor, right? This was an independent stats that I read, but I thought this was very, very relevant to all the SMBs, right? So customer acquisition is just one part of the business problem. How do you retain the customer, engage the customer, right? And most importantly, give them the right kind of customer support at the end of the day, राइट बिकॉज वो आया है आपके पास ये एक्सपेक्टेशन के साथ में, और हम भारतीयों की ये वो रहती है कि हमको सपोर्ट तो सबसे बेस्ट मिलना चाहिए, right? So there is no leeway for SMB businesses today, right? And that brings me to the part, right, ki how do you use automations and workflows, right? So starting with customer support, right, because that's like one of the burning issues. So again, WhatsApp Business API platform and a service provider like Interakt enables you to set up very basic automations like out of office, welcome message, delayed message, right? These are automations which are very, very underrated, but I have seen that at least a response which is going out at odd hours, right? Or when a customer is really wanting to, is initiating a conversation and is waiting कि मेरा message किसी ने पढ़ा है या नहीं भी पढ़ा है, right? At least a welcome message going through and giving him a very simple option to kind of explore further, right, is something which is very, very basic. The other thing is, we were doing an analysis just a couple of months back, and I was sitting with my product team and I said, what are customers asking? They're saying 40 to 50% of the customers are asking the same questions over and over again, right? We have our own WhatsApp Business API number. Our support channel runs on customer on WhatsApp, basically, right? Although we have email, right? And 40 to 50% of your queries can be automated. Now, how can we do that? We don't need an very high funda kind of bot, right? We have something known as FAQ list messages, which is frequently asked list messages, right? And custom auto replies. So you can configure the top 10 questions that the customer would ask you, right? And then you can configure the answers to those questions also, right? So let's say again, for example, a D2C business would say, do you have this size? Or what is your exchange policy? What is your return policy? Can I have a look at more of your products? What is your terms and conditions, right? And so on and so forth, right? And everything is completely automated. In fact, we also have set up list messages. And what we've seen a significant reduction in the load on our customer support engine, right? And they're coming under flag because there are so many, suppose you're running a bigger campaign, right, on WhatsApp Business API, right? And then you have a barrage of chats which are coming in. And just imagine the plight of the customer support team. So you can automate all of this, right? So customer support as a use case is a no-brainer. One aspect which Sonam already touched on, sending timely reminders, right? Let's take the example of a service-based business, right? A spa, salon, gym, right? Or anything that you've booked, right? We have one of the biggest players in this industry. I don't want to name, right, but we have one of the biggest players in the service industry who are using us to send reminders, right? And not only that, it's not only about reminders. Let's say, for example, you want a confirmation 1 hour before. Are you okay, or basically, are you okay to kind of go ahead with this service? Yes, no, and reschedule the time, right? And then you give them options further, right, at what time you want to reschedule, basically, right? So that your servicing cost is not impacted in case the customer is canceling the service an hour before, right? Or for that matter, what Sonam mentioned, right? Payment reminders when it comes to, for example, your favorite OTT platforms, your EMIs, your loans, and all of that that you want to kind of fill, kind of pay. Right. So I have personally been on a lot of platforms, right? And I see that whenever there is a reminder which is coming in, I say, oh, it's just 24 hours before I need to pay, otherwise I'll get a penalty. Today we are living in such a world that we really don't, remember a lot of things, although I do set Google reminders and all of that, but you tend to miss, right? So all of that is very important. The other thing in automation is, setting up, recurring reminders. Right? Not payment reminders, but let's say, for example, you're a brand and somebody has purchased and dropped off, right? With Interakt, right? Using our set of APIs, you can actually trigger abandoned cart recovery messages, right? You can do it 15 minutes after the customer dropped off, 30 minutes, maybe a couple of hours, maybe a couple of days, right? So this is how you can also retarget your customers day in and day out. Right? Obviously, without spamming customers, you have the intent and the opt-in of the customer, right? But we've seen that abandoned cart recoveries account, we've seen a recovery of 45 to 60% abandoned cart recoveries, right? From our merchants. And this is what Meta also has to say, right? Last but not the least, in terms of automations is, sending a very, very simple kind of customer feedback, right? After the, product is delivered. Saying, did you like our product? Rate us on a scale of 1 to 5, or let's say if there are 3 buttons, good, bad, average, right? And if you were to select good, then you can also send them a notification saying that, hey, looks like you are a good customer for us. You've enjoyed your journey with us, right? Why don't you buy this as well? So this becomes like an upsell opportunity. So not only are you retaining the customer, you are upselling something and hence increasing the customer lifetime value, right, on WhatsApp. So all of these automations are something which are already built in on a platform like Interakt, right? And you can kind of take advantage of all of these as and when you want to.
That's definitely very informative, Asad. What you said about reminders, like I was just recalling one of the examples are flights. Like me getting a reminder about my flight tickets and everything. So I have everything in one window. So I don't have to move through folders to actually access those. This brings me to another question, and I would like to, ask Sonam about it. So Sonam, we talk about automations and, chatbots, but we also know that people prefer human interactions, especially Indian SMBs, right? 45% of users on an average prefer to interact with a human for their customer success team. But we all know that, SMBs and growing businesses, they have limited bandwidth and resources. So they cannot have, humans at every step of the way or every step of the journey. How can WhatsApp workflows and automations help you there?
Okay, I think in part the question has already been answered by Asad. It obviously has to be a good blend. Whenever it is involving any form of AI or automations, it has to be the right blend between human representatives and AI or automations, right? Always look at automations as a way to channelize or the communication or funnel the communication to such a place where most of the frequently asked questions are already taken care of. You know what kind of questions are expected. For instance, if a brand is sending, let's say, a reminder for renewal of a service, you know the kind of questions that are going to come up is how many more days are left for me to renew, or what kind of payment options do I have? Are there any offers going on right now? You know these are the expected questions. This is something that you can already set up via a workflow or an automation. And if there are more complex questions that the client has with respect to, let's say, they want to share some feedback or they have some kind of errors which they're not able to resolve or debottleneck, let's say, these can be directed to a human representative. Now, what happens is this way, you also curtail the number of human representatives you need. They are working on value-added tasks, so their levels of motivations are higher. And plus, at the same time, the basic level stuff is already taken care of by the workflows. So you don't need to have a very large team, like Asad also pointed out, right? Your customer success team also, your customer support team also is not very burdened by the same kind of task being repetitively done again and again. Now, one of the examples that I could possibly point out here is Zomato and Swiggy, right? They went ahead and applied bots across all your questions, across all your support channels. Now, because of that, especially with Swiggy, there was a very high percentage of customers basically requesting a refund or mentioning that, there were items in the food or the delivery that were missing. Now, what happened because of this is the bots used to kick in. They obviously couldn't understand very clearly. There were complex decision points at that point, but they were not able to decipher. So what they did was they would just by default refund it, or they would by default send across a repeat order of the same thing. So Zomato and Swiggy it had come to a point where they had to again re-employ human representatives for this part of the refund process, because obviously there were customers who were kind of trying to create workarounds. So these are very value-added, complex decision points which a workflow and automation can't do, where you, of course, require the human intervention. And this is, of course, more value-added task versus giving the same kind of scripted answers again and again, which can be handled by an automation. So obviously, it's a good blend of both things that is required.
Makes sense. And I think recently Zomato has also taken back those chatbots. Now they have a hybrid model with the lesser
the standard tasks are taken care of
by the bots. Yeah, I think that was very informative. So ideally, Asad, circling back to this first thing that we talked about the open rates. What do you think that growing businesses should do in the customer experience category with WhatsApp, so that they can get retain more customers, or maybe upsell across have upsell or cross-sell opportunities? So what do you think about that?
Great. I think that's a very favorite question of mine, Chenika, because simply because people think that if I have a WhatsApp bulk sender, I'm calling it a bulk sender, I'm not calling it an API, right? And if I have a database, right, magic can happen, right? But magic will not happen, because then you will ultimately end up spamming the customers, right? So customization and personalization is the name of the game, right? And personalization needs to happen at scale, right? On a platform like Interakt with a WhatsApp Business API, you can reach out to unlimited customers, right? Meta actually allows you to reach out to unlimited customers. There is a tiering structure where you move from 1,000 customers to 10,000, then to 1 lakh, and so on and so forth, right? But like I said, simply blasting a WhatsApp message will not get you the required dividends, right? So you need to personalize it. In a platform like Interakt, and obviously in a platform like Kylas also, right? We have something known as placeholders or variables, right? So instead of saying, hey customer, we have launched this festival season scheme, right? I would like to say, hi Asad, right? And for each message that goes to each customer, it will go by his name, right? It's called a placeholder or an identifier or a variable, right? It's as simple as that, making the customer feel more valuable, right? Rather than just saying, hey customer. Right, so that is just one very simple thing that we need to take care of. The other thing is coming back to abandoned carts and order messages, right? Which are actually transactional messages on WhatsApp, right? Let's say you abandon a cart, right? And you've abandoned it multiple times. You don't know which kind of product you've abandoned, right? With a platform like Interakt, right, we can actually trigger an abandoned cart with the latest product that the customer has abandoned, with the photograph image. So there is something known as header, and then image goes in the header, and the customer knows, oh, this is the product that I've abandoned, right? That creates a higher recall and a better chance of recovery. Similarly for order notifications, right? You might say, hey, your XYZ sneakers is something on the way, right? But if you give the photograph, it kind of relates to you. That's the kind of personalization or personalization you should have. The other thing is, and it's an understatement, right? KYC, know your audience. What do you mean by that is, you have a customer database of 10,000 people, or let's say 1 lakh, right? Firstly, get opt-ins from the customer. Don't just spam the customer, right? If they have clearly denied you that they don't have the opt-in, right? Then don't send messages. In a platform like Interakt, we can already choose a filter which says WhatsApp opted in is false, right? Which means the customer has not shown intent. It might be in your database, but he has not shown intent. Don't spam, right? Why? For two reasons. A, you're spending that extra money for sending that message. B, there is every possible chance that the customer kind of marks you as spam, reports you as spam, and you downgrade your account quality, right? So that is something. Now coming back to segmentation, right? You have to segment your customers, right? Now this could be basis, 3 factors or 2 factors, right? Basis the behavior of the customer, right? What is his purchasing history? Or basis the demographics of the customer, which is name, gender, and so on and so forth. Or basis the preference of the customer, right? So at the time of opt-in, you might say, hey, you would like to get notifications about X product, and X category, Y category, like for example, shirts or t-shirts or whatever, right? So you have to segment your customers and you have to tag your customers. A platform like Interakt actually helps you tag your customer basis the customer preferences, right? So that you don't send the wrong set of messages, right, to the customer, right? So for example, if I purchase a sari for my wife, right, which was on her birthday, but then tomorrow you are sending, a message to me for kurti, I would say, no, I will just come back to the next birthday, right? Just joking. And I would, typically not be the right set of customer, right? Because a kurti is typically, someone or from a female wear perspective, right? So that sort of preferential segmentation is very, very important, which you can do via, tags on Interakt, right? And you can send those notifications as well, right? Another use case is, for example, like I said, upsell, cross-sell, right? So let's say somebody is an Avengers fan, right? Which I am. And if you buy a t-shirt of Avengers, right? I would, let's say, tell you after 15 days or, maybe a month saying that you are an Avengers fan. And why don't you buy an Avengers merchandise like a mug or a hoodie or a cap, right? Knowing that he's purchased an Avengers t-shirt. Now he's more likely to purchase it, right, in the long run, because he's already an Avengers fan and you can tag him like an Avengers fan, let's say, for example, since he's purchased that Avengers merchandise, right? So this is the way you can segment your customers, right, and make your communication more relevant. Last but not the least, right, it's very important for you to understand what is the frequency of the messages that you should send, right? Not that the WhatsApp Business API platform is completely free of cost, right? There is a cost which is associated per conversation, right? So you have to be obviously frugal in that terms as a marketer. And lastly, you also have to understand what is the content. So some content might be, clicking with the end customer, some content might not be. So you have to do a little bit of A/B testing as well, right? आपका कौन सा template चल रहा है? In so WhatsApp, we call it a template, right? You have to kind of make a message, which is like a multimedia rich feature message and get it approved by Meta. And that happens within a matter of few minutes, sometimes even hours, right? And you have to keep testing, right? What is really triggering or, kind of hitting the right notes with your audiences and hence resulting into faster conversions or better conversions, right? So that's how you can do a little bit of personalization on WhatsApp.
That pretty much made a lot of sense, Asad. Like if somebody wants to, send out targeted messages to clients, they can do it via those tags and everything. So this also brings me to a question that, you are hyper targeting your audience and it somewhere or the other helps you shorten that sales cycle, right? So for Sonam, I would like to ask you this question. Is there a way in which we can integrate this with the knowledge that a CRM has? And will that help to further shorten the sales cycle for growing businesses? If yes, then how?
Of course it can. In fact, it's a topic very close to our hearts. For a lot of our customers also who come in looking for both a CRM and also, of course, other communication channels and how to integrate both, how to make the most of it. So I can tell you more from our own use case. For instance, our own sales cycle, the way it works is whoever is interested in a sales CRM, right? They're exploring and they come on our website, they fill up the lead form. And it happens within 3 to 4 hours where our pre-sales team calls up the client to understand their requirements. So this takes almost 3 to 4 hours. And if you remember, Asad was talking about people wanting to have a touch point right away. So if I filled up a lead form, I want some kind of communication happening right away with you. And because of the lead flow or for whatever reasons, it takes at least 3 to 4 hours for our team to get in touch. By then, the client might have already gone on with their day. There might be some emergency. There might be some meeting. They might be occupied somewhere. They don't take our calls, let's say. So what happens is you might have a client who's very intent and is in the middle of a consideration cycle or is already exploring a lot of other CRMs, has a demo sitting with someone else, right? In that case, we have basically delayed our own prospect of actually converting this into a deal. So what we have done is basically set up the right kind of WhatsApp messages at the right stages within the pipeline. So a CRM obviously becomes the core of all of your information related to the client, and you streamline a lot of it based on pipeline stages. So let's say it's an incoming lead, just filled up the form on the website. Your pre-sales team is not yet free to call them. But in the meanwhile, a WhatsApp goes directly to the client asking, saying, you know what, thank you for your interest. We have recorded all your details. And the next couple of questions could be, while our pre-sales team tries to get in touch with you, couple of things like, for instance, would you like to know more about our product? This is our brochure. Would you like to know more about the pricing? This is the price. These are the pricing details. The third thing could be, when would you like our team to call you up? Let's say you were not able to take the first call and we put you in no response or contacting. So with that pipeline stage, immediately the message that goes via WhatsApp is, we were trying to get in touch with you, but we couldn't. So do you have a specific time that when you're available, you're more comfortable to talk to us? We will call you up at that time. So what happens in this way is the first response time itself has reduced drastically. Second, the chances of them responding positively and moving more towards the funnel in terms of coming towards a demo becomes much faster. They've already scheduled a demo with you. And while they're waiting for the demo, because some client, let's say today's Tuesday, and they've asked for a demo along with their other stakeholders on a Thursday. So you have 2 days in between. And they could be wondering about the product. They could be thinking about what kind of feature set exists or what kind of pricing options are there. Is there any kind of comparison I can read about this product with other demos that I'm looking at? So this is content that you could keep pumping in from time to time based on the pipeline stage they are in. So before they come to your demo, they already have some amount of basic information. They're a little more invested in the process. And then once they come for and post the demo, if they have any questions, again, you have some messages going through. So how did you like the demo? Do you have any specific questions? Would you like a re-demo? So this is basically like keeping someone always with the client during the buying journey, assisting them. And of course, this happens at scale. So it is much easier for you. It's more efficient and cost effective for SMBs especially. And with respect to reducing the sales cycle, the other part that we have seen where it works a lot is, let's say we have some season specific offers or festive offers. And we send out, let's say, specific WhatsApp communication to a set of clients. I'll take you through some use cases also towards the end. We have some screenshots of those. But let's say I have a specific set of client who had explored Kylas some time back. That was not the right time for them for whatever reason. And now we have an offer for them. So I can send it out to that specific set of clients, right? So one way, of course, is creating the labels that Asad was talking about. The other one, of course, with CRM, we have all of this data in so many different ways across so many filters that you can really slice and dice the data to get to the right set of clients. So it's extremely, extremely customized. It's almost like a 1:1 kind of an equation. And then you send out this communication. So it's like you're striking it in a very targeted approach instead of a spray and pray approach. And then what happens is, obviously, the number of clients who are coming through with this kind of an offer, they have much higher intent. They've already explored your product at some point. So it's much faster for them to actually have the discussions, do the re-demos, have the negotiation, and close it right away. So we've seen an extreme, in fact, I wouldn't be able to come up with numbers right now, but we have seen an extreme change in terms of the sales cycle reducing. Plus also the team, of course, being less burdened with doing recalls or retouches. And it's become a more efficient process overall.
So Sonam, we were talking about those use cases. Let's quickly, go through them.
Yes, I have a few slides. If you can just bring up the screen, I can just walk you through it.
Works. Let me know they're visible.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so the first one that we're looking at here is basically, this is a two-way communication, right? Two-way sync. So if there are leads that are coming through, they're reaching out to us via the Kylas WhatsApp handle, then those leads get auto-created on Kylas. And let's say if they are created on the CRM, they also exist on the database for WhatsApp. So it's easier for us to pull up this information and send out any communication that we want. In the next one, of course, this is a very sales related approach that I'm talking about. Let's say the leads have been captured in Kylas through WhatsApp messages. Now we have auto-routed them to the right salesperson based on, let's say, the salesperson's number of leads they already have in the contacted or the open stage right away, whatever the routing mechanism you have set, and then the team starts working on the lead right away. So this is a much faster process. Just moving to the next one. Okay, this is the one that I was talking about. So very targeted communication that you can send. So if you look at the screenshot at the bottom, let's say there's a list of clients who have delayed the decision of buying. It could be because their sales team size is not yet, up to par to use a CRM. They're okay with an Excel. Or they're looking at it that they want to change the business process, then implement a CRM, whatever the reasons might be. So let's say you've tagged all of them as lost with a certain reason on the CRM. So that's the list right there. And to them, you can send a very targeted communication that, what, we're offering a 6+3 for August, it ends by this particular date. This can actually nudge them in terms of taking that decision faster. So it's possible that the team sizes now are larger in size. It's possible that their business process is already taken care of and they're ready for implementing a CRM. This gives them that extra nudge that, what, there's an offer going on, why don't you explore? So that's one. The other one that we have is, so this is another one. So let's say we have lost some leads due to some feature that we didn't have, like maybe a month back or a couple of months back. So this one was very specific to Shopify integration. So once we came up with Shopify, that particular feature requirement. So what we do is we pull up that list of leads, whoever were lost for this specific reason, which is all tagged and taken care of in the CRM. And we take a particular message, which has all the relevant small snippets of information with respect to Shopify integration, like how this can help you. And of course, with the right CTAs of call us or schedule a demo. And the other one could be integrate now, which is deep link. So that would help you. So those were some specific use cases. And of course, one of the things is once you initiate a WhatsApp conversation in the CRM, what we basically do is that gets reflected in the CRM in the notes itself. So every communication that you're having, and of course, it's possible that you might be having a communication or the client is communicated to you via an email that you sent sometime back. Omni-channel engagement, right? That is the name of the game nowadays. So if that is the case, you anyways have all of this tagged right there in your CRM. So all your communication with one client is sitting there in this one particular source of information. So making it easier for you to continue that communication that you've had. And it really helps, especially we've had clients who have come back after 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, or even longer, right? And you have all your communication right there. And you can basically, based on that context, you can have a conversation with them. These are just some screenshots of the same thing. So you can send the WhatsApp messages right from the CRM, which is something that we discussed earlier. Yeah, pretty much. Thanks.
So thank you so much, Sonam. Before we move ahead to the offer segment, I would just like to address a few Q&As. So Asad, Sonam, we do have some questions in the chatbot itself. If you would like to address some of those, we can quickly do that, given that we are very short of time.
Sure. Any specific questions?
Janika, in the interest of time, do you want to take the questions? I mean, I'm happy to address them, but do we have time? I mean,
let's address one or two.
Yeah.
Before we move ahead.
Sure.
So Asad, there was a question by okay, so Anush Tripathi asked, do we need 2 tools for both sales and support, or does one work? So Sonam, would you like to pick this up?
You mean tools or 2 brand handles? That's the part I'm not sure about.
Okay. Give me a second. He meant 2 tools. I think what he's talking about is first he wanted to know about a lead generation customer support tool, and he wants to know whether he can manage the sales and support in one tool or not.
In fact, with our use case, we do use it in one tool. Unless, of course, you're talking about very specific customer engagement metrics that you wouldn't be able to track on the sales CRM, but otherwise your entire sales cycle plus your customer success all can be taken care of with Kylas itself.
Perfect. Asad, Anuj also asked that does generating API cost anything?
No, so I'll tell you, right, we can't generate an API, right? APIs are basically is like a software, right, that Meta has given us. We are a preferred business service provider of Meta. What we've done is we've built an entire WhatsApp platform, right? It's like a full stack platform that we've built, right? With all the features, with the inbox, right? And all of that. So if you see the interface, and I'll be glad to give this person Anuj, right? Anuj ji, I will be happy to give the team a product walkthrough. But right, we've built the entire platform basically, right? So that platform is definitely costing. We have two components of costing, right? One is the subscription cost, which is the monthly or the annual subscription fee that you pay to Interakt. And like I said, since WhatsApp has monetized this platform, right? So sending of messages, receiving of messages is, has to be paid to WhatsApp. Obviously, there is a small amount of markup that we charge as a part of the infrastructure and the maintenance that we do. So essentially, yes, you will have to pay a small fee, which is like a license fee or a subscription fee, and then a conversation cost. And we can discuss about what a conversation is. It's not like a messaging cost, but happy to kind of take your questions in detail later.
Sonam, another question for you. Can you store customers' WhatsApp chat and CRM via Interakt?
Yes, like we showed you that it's all visible within your lead detail section.
Okay, one final question. I think this is for Asad. What is the major differentiation between Interakt and Wati?
So, see, I'll tell you, right? We are a homegrown brand, firstly, right? We come from the GeoHaptic family and we take immense pride in that. In fact, we are also invested into by Meta and Google, right? We were in fact pioneers in the WhatsApp API space, right? And we've grown to 10,000 customers with the love and affection that we have, right? Which also gives us access to features that are launched in the beta stage. So for example, right now, Instagram inbox is one feature that we are launching and we'll be, very soon kind of announcing that, right? We have a great UI, right? Which is obviously something which the customer gives us feedback, and a customer support engine, right? I keep coming back. The product essentially can be built very well. It can be sturdy, but if the customer support engine is not in place, right, that creates a lot of friction and drop-offs. You can vouch that our customer support engine, we have a very dedicated team to give you customer support, right? We also have a dedicated customer success team and sales team who gives you hand-holding in terms of demos, in terms of, answering your queries. We also have a support on WhatsApp, and we have a support on email, right? Which kind of sets us up apart from the other players in the market.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that, Asad. So, Sonam, I'll take one final question. Okay, so the question that this will be a two-part question. One, the standard implementation process of Kylas, and Asad, you can answer that part also. With Interakt, how much time will that take? So you both can answer your end. So Sonam, the standard implementation process and timeline for Kylas.
For Kylas, of course, what we also do is during the sales process itself, we map all your requirements very clearly in terms of if you require any standard integrations, anything which is, if you have standard integrations, plus you're very clear about your sales process and you're able to map it out during the sales process itself, our standard implementation takes anywhere between 2 to 3 weeks.
Perfect. And what about Interakt, Asad?
So see, we for anyone to get onboarded on Interakt, right? All he has to do is have 2 or 3 basic things in place, right? One thing is you should have a number which is currently not connected on any other forms of WhatsApp, right? Because you're connecting it to an API. The second thing is you should have an active business website, which should be secured, right? And the third thing is that you should have access to your Facebook Business Manager. If you're having all of these 3 prerequisites, right, then it's like a breeze. Because all we have to do, our platform is completely self-serve, plug and play, right? In fact, our integration with Kylas is also completely out of the box. So once you kind of subscribe, right, you'll be given a secret key or an API key. All you have to do is plug in that API key into Kylas, and the messages keep exchanging between the two platforms, right? And so just to kind of give you a long story short, it can be done within as early as 1 day, right? If you have all the prerequisites in place.
Yeah. So I think we have addressed a lot of these questions. I would really request our audience, if you have any specific questions, please reach out to us. You can reach out to Kylas team at contact@kylas.io in case you have any other questions. Asad, can you share the same for Interakt, where they can share their questions?
So we have a support channel, basically. There is a support channel number. I can request Siddharth to put that in the chat box. At the same time, we also have a support email ID, which is support@interakt.ai, right? So you have 2 channels to kind of reach out to us, basically.
Perfect. So moving ahead, like I said towards the beginning of the session, that we do have an offer for you guys. So for for anyone that who is using an Interakt and wants a Kylas account, we do have a 20% off on Kylas and subscription. For all the Kylas users, if you want to get Interakt for your WhatsApp business, you can get 4,000 CTWA credit free on sign up. And if you have not subscribed to either of the two, you can do that and you'll get these combined offers. So I would really request you to scan these QR codes to avail of the offers. For both these QR codes, you'll have to fill in your details. Kindly fill in your details and our sales team will get in touch with you.
I'm scanning my QR code now.
Yes, please. So while we are at it, give me a second. Yes. While I think our attendees might be adding those questions, there are a few other questions that I'd like to address meanwhile. So Sonam, one of our attendees asked how would Kylas better than Zoho or how it is competitive towards Zoho CRM. If you could quickly answer that question, that would be great.
Okay, sure. So a couple of things. One is I wouldn't want to compare or say one is better than the other. Of course, Zoho has led the way for most CRMs in world, globally, in fact. Very proud of that. With Kylas, our objective has always been to empower SMBs, which means our pricing, our license cost, or the way we basically have unlimited licenses, the pricing options that we have, right? All of it is, or the feature set, or the ease of use, all of it has been made keeping in mind what SMBs need or what SMB sales teams needs. So for us, it has been always ease of use. That's important. Unlimited users at a fixed cost. Of course, we also do all of our onboarding, training, and everything else in-house. We do not hand it over to channel partners. We do not have external channel partners who do it for you. We do this in-house to ensure that we have certain amount of quality and control on the entire process. So yeah, we own the entire process end to end. So for us, it's all about making sure that SMBs have the right feature set, they find it easy to use. The adoption is higher, plus we are handholding you at every stage in the entire journey. So I think that's how we compare versus any others here.
Thank you so much, Sonam, for answering that question. Any final thoughts that you and Asad would like to add, given that we are already 6 minutes above our time? Asad, would you like to add something?
Sure. So, whether or not you're going with a platform like Interakt, obviously people are free to evaluate, right? But I would definitely say if you are not on this platform, that you're missing out something, right? As marketers, as businesses, right? You should definitely explore how your use cases can get satisfied via WhatsApp Business API. And the combined power of CRM as well, right? So if you're not, then you've already missed the bus, but it's never too late. Please do that. And our teams are always there to kind of help you, support you and assist you. And like I said, we have some exciting offers running, so please don't miss the bus. And looking forward to having all of you on board.
Sonam, thank you so much, Asad. Sonam, your final thoughts?
I think from my end, I would just actually request all the users that if you, all the attendees, if you are already using a CRM system and if you're unable to actually bring in any sales efficiency, or if you've got users who are unable to use it and you're still paying hefty costs, it is time you kind of reflect on the CRM choice you have, because that becomes the core of all of your customer engagement, your communication. All of these platforms can be added, right? But at the end of the day, your business and all the intelligence is sitting within your CRM. So make sure you have the right product with you. And if at any point you think you want to explore Kylas, we're more than happy to help.
Thank you so much, Sonam, for that. It was lovely having you guys here. Your insights really helped. This is for all our attendees. If we weren't able to answer all your questions, kindly send us an email at contact@kylas.io. And for Interakt, it is support@interakt.shop. Send us those emails. We will be very happy to answer those emails. Thank you so much. You've been a lovely audience. Thank you so much, Sonam. Thank you so much, Asad. You guys have been really, really, really great.
Thanks, Janika. Thanks, Asad. Thanks, everyone.
So here's us signing off. Have a very nice evening. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye.